long was I gone?
In Earth years, about a century, long enough for the last of the mouth-breathers to die off.
Then, the Third Kingdom is lost.
Darksiders is an epic action-adventure story. It's got angels fighting demons, and Earth is destroyed. It's the apocalypse. Mankind is wiped out, and War, who's one of the four horsemen, gets sent to Earth and is actually framed for having brought about the apocalypse before it was time. And he gets a chance to prove his innocence or die there. And so he's fighting angels, he's fighting demons, trying to get to the truth.
Has prison made you a coward?
I play War, one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
I've had lots of dreams of the apocalypse. Very vivid ones. I have about 3 or 4 a year. Seriously. Terrible, terrible nightmares.
Most people will know me as Gaara from Naruto, that's the big one, but I'm also now playing Nightcrawler and Angel in Wolverine and the X-Men.
The seals were broken. I was summoned.
I didn't really know what I was working on until 2 days ago, and then he sent me the script last night, and I started reading, and I saw my character's name was War, and I remembered reading a big article on Joe Mad's video game, and I got pretty excited. Stayed up late last night, watched stuff online, read the whole script. It's pretty cool.
You catch a glimpse of that demon form I was telling you about, and it just kind of flashes over you while you're struggling.
I was a huge fan of Joe's artwork from my life as a comic book collector. I don't really know that I've ever seen a game look this sculpted. The things you're gonna see in there, the demons or the monsters, look so detailed and so real and so obviously out of Joe's pen.
None are free while the Destroyer still breathes.
The Destroyer, yes. To his service we are bound, though enemies remain.
War in the game is motivated by his responsibility or his duty. It's his job to show up once the end comes. He thought that the world was going to be over, that the seventh seal was going to be broken, and he got there, and it's not exactly the case. So he spends the better part of the game unwrapping that and kicking ass. It's pretty awesome. Doesn't get any meatier than playing a Horseman of the Apocalypse.
Looks like our trajectory was a little off.
When War gets sent back to Earth, he's not trusted. They don't know what he's up to, so he's shackled with a character called the Watcher.
Not so fast, Horseman.
The Watcher is meant to keep an eye on War, make sure he's not getting into trouble, and if he does, he has the power to kill War.
Let's lay down a few ground rules.
We have Mark Hamill playing the role of the Watcher.
You so much as blink at me, and the Council will end you, both of you. I'm protected.
I was watching the Batman animated series a lot at the time, and the Joker just totally stood out as like being such an awesome character. And I found out Mark Hamill actually did the voice of the Joker.
So what I want to do now is I want to go to the beginning.
The dog on a leash. I say bark, you bark. And if I have to kick you, you'd better not bare your teeth. Understand? You know, for a minute back there, I really thought you wanted to hurt me. I'll remember that.
War is a very level character, and the Watcher needs to be someone that's just like all over the place. You know, he's totally full of venom and spiteful.
War. War. I will make you suffer. No wonder Samael wants this thing. It's coursing with power. You really think he's going to let you live long enough to collect on your end?
Great. And then
No! No. We came for the Griever's heart, remember?
he's totally consistent the whole way through.
What the hell do you think you're doing, Samael?
There were a lot of lines that I think we toned down because I was worried about how much humor the Watcher was delivering, and just spending some time with Mark and watching him bring the Watcher to life, now I kind of wish that we had more humor because it was just so funny.
Thought you were cutting off an alternate universe expletive.
You fool! I order you to break that line.
And if I refuse, you'll kill me.
What do you think you're doing? That thing's lost its mind. Kill it! you not entertained?
When we started Vigil, we wanted to make a console game, and we wanted to make a game that would be pretty much a defining game in this genre. We wanted to take all these elements of games we loved and put them into a nice, compelling experience.
So we wanted to pick a fairly dark subject matter that got people excited right away. As soon as we said the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, that instantly got people excited. The cool thing about the Four Horsemen is that everybody has heard of them, but there's not really any information about them, which really allowed us to go crazy and just create this fiction, make them our own characters, and just make them as big and badass as we wanted.
And so we took all the elements of that, in the standard story, we took the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse and the Beast and the Abyss, and we took whatever was cool from that, and we sort of crafted our own mythology around that. We have an awesome team. We've really paid attention to bringing in the right people. They're highly talented, highly skilled. They know what they're doing. They can take something cool and translate it into an actual visceral visual experience. And Joe's the perfect person for that. I mean, his background in comics, just his overall style and imagination.
Of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, we wanted to start with War because he's probably the most badass. He's a warrior. He has a giant sword. He's got the flaming red horse that basically rains death on everybody. And he's definitely not a bad guy. He's not a goody two-shoes, but he does have some morals. He has honor.
War is a badass. I mean, he can kill anything. You'll fight bosses that are, multiple stories tall. You'll throw buses at them. You'll fight them on Ruin. You do these cool interactive sequences where you kill them. When it comes to fighting like demons or angels, he's pretty much unmatched. I mean, there's no force in the game that can stop him.
You can pick up cars and smash guys with it. You can throw cars at guys. You can flip buses over, cut down lamp poles and beat guys over the head with them. In Darksiders, you play the role of War, one of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. In the beginning of the story, the Horsemen are implicated in the destruction of the Earth. They are punished for this because it was not meant to be destroyed yet. They stumble onto basically a conspiracy between heaven and hell.
As a punishment for what happened, you're stripped of all your powers and sent back to Earth. And War kind of has to start a little weakened. You do start off with your legendary sword, but you don't have your horse, you don't have all your abilities. By the time you get back to Earth, after being punished, the apocalypse is over, the people are dead, the Earth's destroyed, it's a complete wasteland.
And War has to prove his innocence and kill everyone until he gets the answers, find out who betrayed them, and redeem himself and get his divine powers back.
And you start in a little more familiar setting, some crumbled buildings, some torn up streets, and as you go deeper and deeper, it gets more and more crazy into like demonic realms and angel fortresses. It's kind of like a fantastic comic book story of the end of the world. Angels and demons are somehow involved and vying for control of these petty humans, and we took all that thing and just weaved it into a story that was extremely compelling. Characters are really important in Darksiders. I mean, you're fighting demons, you're fighting angels, you're fighting ridiculous mythological creatures that have really never been imagined before. What Joe brings to the table is pretty much unbridled creativity.
Translating Joe's style, I mean, this is an amazing style. Characters would just stand there and they look like they're going to just get at you straight away. We needed to translate this into 3D. Boy, that was a challenge. But we did it through lots of iterations, blood, sweat, and tears. I think we have something pretty amazing.
When you start with a character that's already awesome, like a Horseman of the Apocalypse, and it does that translation to it, it becomes even cooler.
We wanted to create a visual style that was unique, more our own. It's more stylized. It looks more like a cool comic book adventure or graphic novel adventure. It's, I think, the coolest thing that I personally have ever worked on.
A lot of games in this genre focus on one very specific element. Either it's combat, or it's puzzle solving, or it's traversal, and they take you along a very linear, simple path through the game. And we wanted an experience that was much more rich and diverse. One thing you get really well in an open world game is freedom of exploration. You can go wherever you want, but what you don't get is really strong cinematic moments. So we wanted to work in and have elements of both.
So basically, we broke up the game into a series of quick action scenes that are a little more focused, and then we open up into the adventure spaces or the hub areas where it sort of connects all these action pieces. And in those you can explore at your own pace. There's missions that you have to carry out and you can do them in any order. As your powers grow, you can access new areas that you couldn't get to before.
We have a lot of exploration, a lot of cool combat, really high cinematic values, all wrapped up in a nice little package.
If you're a fan of third-person action games, if you like cool epic stories with lots of over-the-top action, you're gonna love Darksiders.
I'm Joe Madureira. I'm the creative director at Vigil Games. A couple years back, we founded Vigil and we wanted to work on an action-adventure game. We knew we wanted to go darker, a little more mature, and the idea of the Four Horsemen just came up and everyone latched onto it, got very excited about it. We had the setting, we had the story, and we had a game. As a kid, growing up, one of the things I loved drawing the most was monsters. It's like I was attracted to mythology because of creatures like Medusa and Pegasus, and just fantasy creatures have inspired me since I was little. Of all the Darksiders characters, I have to say War was the most challenging. Not surprisingly, he's the main character. We sort of fought with gameplay versus what we felt like the character should do. You know, is he more like a ninja or is he more like a barbarian? Early on, he didn't have a hood, and then we gave him the hood and he had mystery, but now you couldn't see his face. And so we had to like fight these battles. He had hair, he had no hair, he had a cape at one time. He's constantly involved throughout the entire process. One of the other characters that I think I personally struggled with was Ruin, who's the horse. Horses are really hard to do. First of all, I hate drawing horses. I just stink at it. And the thing about horses, they look kind of odd from certain angles. And so we had to create this horse that was somehow much cooler than an actual horse. We wanted to make Ruin bigger and more powerful than any horse could possibly be. He had to look like a weapon, basically. Something like this. I think film directors have influenced me. What I love about movies is the cinematography, and I think a lot of the shots, a lot of the edits and things like that. It's all stuff that became suddenly more important to me once we started working on the cutscenes. It's like, oh wow, let me watch that movie again, because I'm pretty sure there's a better shot we could use for this moment. Drawing influence from movies helped keep Darksiders feeling cinematic and epic. When we started working on Darksiders, we knew we wanted it to really feel epic. You play as War, one of the Four Horsemen. This war comes to Earth and wipes out humanity. Nobody really knows what he's doing there. Even he's not quite sure.
What in heaven's name have you done?
There's a conspiracy between heaven and hell.
I answer the call.
It all gets pinned on him, and he gets imprisoned for 100 years, and he's given the chance to come back to prove his innocence.
Send me back. I will punish the ones responsible.
It takes place on Earth. Now there's angels and demons all over the place. Heaven and hell. It doesn't really get more epic than that. It's good and evil, literally. War is just a complete badass. I mean, he has got his sword, the Chaos Eater, which is his primary weapon. In addition to that, you get guns, you get angelic weapons, you get demon weapons. You have a horn that you blow that knocks enemies back. Really, there's just a ton of different weapons that at your disposal, and when all else fails, you know, picking up a car and just dropping it on a guy's head is pretty cool. Ruin is War's powerful supernatural steed. He's not a typical horse. You can summon him, unsummon him, and you can fight from horseback. You can use your sword, you can use guns, you can just trample smaller enemies. War's main adversaries in the game are the demons that serve as the army of the Destroyer, who's this mysterious enemy that's sort of surfaced. There's a band of angels that are also fighting the Destroyer, so he'll have to deal with the angels in addition to the demons as well. The cool thing about Darksiders is that it looks like the most crazy, over-the-top combat game on the surface, but really, at its core, it's an adventure game. So we really merged these two elements together to create a new game. It's got like all the cinematic action of the best combat games with the, just exploration, puzzle solving. Every character is huge, the weapons are huge, the monsters are huge. I think that lends itself to the big, epic scope of the game.